Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, glory, and worship to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash, the bunch of the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Greetings and salutations to Yakim, pushing his word in truth and sincerity. This is Jacob, out of the commander of Great Millstone Line of Church, for lesson of exhortation, edification, prophecy update. All right, this is an article from RT News. It's a couple of days old, July 5th. It is entitled "Nightmare for Enemies." Iran says it built underground missile cities along Persian Gulf Coast. This is major news, brothers. This is this is powerful. This is a powerful strategic move that the Iranians have pulled off. Geostrategic move that the Iranians have pulled off for the inevitable up and coming battle of the Persian Gulf, because that is an inevitable battle that will take place. And having the scenario as such, it can lead to very, it obviously is going to be, it's going to put the Americans and the allies of America against Iran in straits or in difficult situations, trying to take control of the very strategic and important Persian Gulf, all right, the Strait of Hormuz, and so on and so forth. All right, let's dig into the article a tad bit, and we're going to jump into those precepts. It says Tehran has built multiple missile cities, both ashore and offshore, along its southern coast. Iran's Revolutionary Guard (IRGC) Navy chief has revealed, calling the facilities a nightmare for the country's enemies. And we know that, speaking of America, all right, because America is really the only nation that's going to try to deal with Iran, in the Persian Gulf. The Saudis are too weak. The Saudis are, they're just a vassal state of America. They don't really want to deal with Iran in that manner. And the European nations, they stand to, they're seeking profit from the Iranian oil, so they don't necessarily want to go to war with the Iranians. And of course, the Russians are backing the Iranians. So it's truly America, the one that is the nation that is at odds with Iran, in these regards. All right, it says the network includes underground bunkers as well as offshore floating platforms. Rear Admiral Ali Reza Taksiri told Sober-e Sadiq Weekly in an interview published on Sunday. This is quotations. It says, Iran has established underground, onshore, and offshore missile cities all along the coast of the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, which would be a nightmare for Iran's enemies, Tangsiri stated. And this is beautiful. This is absolutely marvelous. Why? Because we see prophecy being fulfilled. All right, so let's go into these scriptures. All right, so this is the book of Job, the 20th chapter, the 22nd verse. And it reads, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Right, so America, all right, the elite banking families and so on and so forth. And America is the military arm of the banking families. But America, all right, who has set out to with the Arab Springs, so on and so forth, and these different regime changes that they put forth as an agenda. I believe it was in 2000, if I'm not mistaken, to overthrow 7 of the Middle Eastern nations, and regime change, so on and so forth, which was, if I'm not mistaken, I know it was Somalia, Iraq, Syria, I believe the Sudan, what was it? Libya, I believe it was Egypt, and last but not least, Iran. Okay? And they've accomplished that in all of the other nations except Iran. Iran is the last on the list, but they're not going to be able to accomplish it. All right? Because the Iranians are too strong for America to have a actual head-on war as they did with the Iraqis. Likewise, dealing with the geography of Iran. Iraq is a desert, and it's a flat land. It's tank country. It's easy to invade. It's also easy to lose. Iran, on the other hand, is a geographic fortress. It's a mountainous terrain that would be a legitimate nightmare to have a long-term battle contest over. That's part of the reason when you study history, the World War II. That's why Hitler did not invade Switzerland, knowing the mountainous terrain would have been a literal nightmare and it ultimately wouldn't have worked out well in his favor. The Italians caught into some trouble invading Greece because of certain of the terrain. Not going to shift too far over to that, but we're just giving examples. But nevertheless, we see prophecy being fulfilled because it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Now, who's going to be in straits? The Americans, Esau, Edom. All right, so when he's thinking he's about to be successful in his triumph and his goals and his word I'm looking for, in his enterprise, it said, let's get this word, it said he should be in straits. Now that term straits is yatazar, which is to bend, be distressed. All right, be in distress, be cramped, be narrow, be scant. So he's going to be distressed, right? And it says what? It says every hand of the wicked, all right, shall be upon him. And when you go into that term wicked, it's aimal, which means nations, laborers, sufferer, rich ones. So that's going into the nations. All right, the laborers are the different nations. All right, so the Iranians would be considered the aimal. It's not actually saying that, even though these nations are wicked, but it's not saying that the wicked, evil people. What it's saying is laborers, workers. All right, it says shall be upon him, and Iran is going to be one of the nations that's going to be upon the Americans. All right, as we see, we're drawing close to this World War III. All right, so let's continue. Matter of fact, let's get another precept. Not gonna make this too long. Matter of fact, we'll just jump to Joel. We don't have to make this long. We'll get one more precept. We're just gonna hit this point. This is the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. Start at the 9th verse. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. So the Lord is arousing this spirit, and he's strategically setting these nations at odds together. Why? To bring them forth to the valley of Jehoshaphat, to Armageddon, the Har Magadwan in the Hebrew. All right, which is a mountain of troops. All right, and that's what's going to be in the Middle East. That's what we see, and that's located where? In the Middle East. So it says, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, which is meaning the valley of decision or judgment. All right. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Right. So the Lord is bringing these nations to the Middle East because the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, they might say it in here. I know with dealing with Armageddon, the Armageddon one is they attribute it to Megiddo, which is a fortress city or a fortress, like a fortress city in the Middle East in North Israel. All right, but let's see what they say about Yahweh Shaphat. They give any proximity of the landmass. Ooh, I like it. Perfect. It says F right here. It says symbolically name of a valley near Jerusalem. See, which is the place of ultimate judgment. I love it. Maybe the deep ravine which separates Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives, through which the Kidron flows. Beautiful, beautiful. You know, but ultimately we see here. The Lord is putting the spirit on these nations and giving them certain, because at one time, the Iranians were weak. The scripture says, let the weak say I'm strong. At one time, during the time of the Iranian war, in comparison to the Americans, the Iranians were weak. And Iran is still, don't get it twisted. They're not anything truly in comparison to the American military and might. But as far as America actually trying to invade Iran, no, they can't invade Iran. They'll lose. They'll be stretched. They'll be stretched thin because then China will start doing land grabs. Different nations are going to start doing certain things. America has too many enemies to have a full-blown war with the Iranians, who is strategically and materially backed by China and Russia if that came to a collision. So we see what's taking place right now. World War III is about to commence, and we are rejoicing at the sound, at the sight, because we see our kingdom, our salvation, our dominion and rulership draweth nigh, the children of Israel. So I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory, and worship to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushua, B'Hashem Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom, and keep the faith.